But again, the trucks are everywhere. And here's the slide they don't want you to see. The buildings are nice. The buildings aren't the issue. You're looking at the issue. Next slide, please. So we're asking you to uphold the decision of the Planning Commission and reject this destructive proposal. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing all of us to speak tonight. My name is Jeannie Hallgrimson. I live here in Norco. I brought my kids to go to school here in the Norco schools. I also worship here in Norco, and I also am a realtor in Norco. I'm here on behalf of the homeowners that live in this area. Last May, I was able to sell a house to a young lady who waited for 10 years to save enough money to buy a house in Norco. And she was blessed. She got a very nice home on Mustang, which sits just north of where you're proposing this. I worry about not only the investment aspect of the home that she bought, but also her quality of life. And I heard this gentleman stand up today, and I'm all for property rights of the owners, but I also am for their neighbors' rights to have a quiet existence. I don't believe that these gentlemen, I appreciate the work that they put together. I love being informed, right? But I also saw them put up pictures of industrial areas next to residential areas. If I were to be a betting woman, I would bet that those areas surrounding those commercial homes or those commercial properties, those homes probably have gone and decreased in value. There is no increasing in value, and that brings in a lower income, and lower income housing sometimes brings in investments where they're going to let renters in, and then undesirables becomes a rundown neighborhood. And it's all because you have a commercial sitting right next to an industrial. Not always, but Rialto, there's areas of Rialto, I will not show an area because I don't want to live, so I don't want to place my client somewhere where I won't live myself. So those, Fontana, Ontario, Rialto, Corona, they're huge compared to Norco. Norco is meant to be a neighborhood community, and we have the equestrian aspect too. So I just ask that you uphold your decision, make this a town that we can be proud of, continue to raise our children. And the other thing is when the houses were being built up on the hills, those trucks would go by. My horse didn't like them. She would jump every time, and they weren't making any noise. And air brakes are another thing that horses don't like. So I would like to ride in safety, and I ask that you continue to allow all of the community to not only ride in safety, but walk in safety and drive in safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 26.
Hello, I'm Terry Baker. I'm a 42-year resident of Norco here. By now, I'm sure most Norco residents are aware of the financial hardship our town is in, and knowing that fees received for this project would be very beneficial, they would not be sustained over the long haul, especially not knowing exactly what businesses would in fact go into this project. I ask you not to put this project through based solely on the needing of the funds. I also ask you to take into consideration the Planning Commission denied this project as stated on staff report summary for the reasons of not being consistent with the Gateway specific plan, as many of them have already mentioned earlier, and that it was in too intense of a land use given its location near residential areas. The Planning Commission also found that the traffic analysis was not comprehensive enough to determine the concise impacts this project would have. As I'm sure all of you have already read all of these pieces of information, I'm just reiterating the importance of them to the residents here in town. And not one of the examples given in the slideshow were buildings next to an agricultural area. You saw all of those commercial properties near the residential areas, and I didn't see one area in those towns that was an agriculture area next to it. They only showed the basic residentials. So I believe the examples are not accurate to be considered here in Norco. And with all the reports and statistics given, I've never heard anything about involving Caltrans. Some of the people speaking tonight did mention Caltrans, but I've been here in Norco for so long, even before the freeways were put in, and I can see the different changes that have been made with those off-ramps. Nor did I hear anything about the number of hours truckers are only allowed to drive. In the fact that when it comes time that they put in their hours, they've got to stop. No matter where they are, they've got to stop, pull over, and rest for the allotted amount of time that they need to rest. And I really don't want that to be here in town, because I know for a fact, coming from a trucker's background, that it can be very detrimental. I remember one time, my dad being a truck driver, he worked in La Habra, very, very heavy particulate diesel area there. I wish not to go visit his work because it was very difficult to breathe, and I didn't like the way it smelled. It was just nasty. So I ask at this time, in closing, that the council deny this project based on those things.
Thank you. Number 27. 28 is in the wings. Good evening, how are you?
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to say my name is Marva Ansel. I've been in the Norco area for over 40 years, and I am 100% opposed to this project. And I hope that you all will vote the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 28. Good evening, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm Bill Anson. I've lived in Norco basically my whole life. I work in the trucking industry the same. We gave ourselves ratings on our traffic in this area. And our traffic areas right now is pretty much pushing D's majority of the time. With this project, we would be in an F. Or driving up and down the street would be just like getting on the 91 freeway first thing in the morning. We won't be able to take our kids to school. We have to leave an hour early to go across town to do it. That is not the way Norfolk has been, and that's the way it shouldn't be. I'm against this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 29.
Denise Sullivan, I used to be 29. I didn't pick the number. I'm not against the distribution hub. I'm against the distribution hub in Norco. My recommendation is to relocate to the empty Skechers building on the corner of Mission and Milliken, which is on the other end of Hamner, which is still in the Tri-County jurisdiction for your area. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
Hi, my name is Teresa Wages. I grew up here in Norco. Unfortunately, I didn't go to Norco High, but that's the way things were back then. Wanted to say one thing about the exhaust for the diesel and stuff. I know there's something here in Norco where you can't burn a wood-burning stove without the air quality being a certain rate. Well, who's actually governing the diesel? If we have to regulate it, they should too. A little bit more. I mean, should be a little more concerned. Also, too, how about all the people that live across the street from this? They're going to put a sound wall. I think that's what they were saying. I wouldn't want to have a sound wall and then have a horse trail. To me, if you're living in a horse country, horse town, USA, you've got to have a view, even if it's the neighbor next door. But still, it's a horse trail, and it should be considered as a horse town. So I'm opposed to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 31.
Susan Yasui. I'm also opposed to this project. I'm another one that would stand on the owner's rights to do, what they want to do with their property, except that there are so many options out there. I know that these brilliant men could come up with something that would fit beautifully with this town, with Horsetown, USA. Wouldn't that be something to come up with something that gave the town sales tax in this economic situation that every cities are faced with, so that we would have that money coming back to us, but that it actually fit in with what we're trying to do with this town. I think that would be a beautiful thing, and I'm sure that, you know, you don't have to resort to this sort of a plan, and I would really hope that each one of the council members would stand behind this idea as well. Let's come up with a better idea for that property. It's a beautiful property, and something wonderful could be done that would really enhance this community, and that's what I think we should do with the trucks. I mean, obviously, don't enhance it at all, they're very detrimental. So please vote to back up what the Planning Commission came up with and deny the project. Thank you.
Number 32.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Manfred Remmel, resident here 26 years. And I want to say the Press Enterprise published on November 6, 2011, an excellent factual and detailed account of the spreading of distribution centers in the Inland Empire. They started out along Freeway 60 and have spread across the region ever since. They grew from 200,000 square feet, ultimately well over 1 million square feet in size. Question, will they ever have enough? Is it their goal to drive out the population and destroy their property values? According to the article and based on studies by the American Lung Association, Riverside County ranks among the top areas in the nation for fine particle pollution caused to a great extent by diesel soot. This is for starters. Next, everybody who has access to the website Stop the Depots can read an account of the tragedy of Vera Loma. Those who attended the meeting of last fall here in the same room will recall the presentation of Mrs. Lopez, who also spoke here tonight, a resident of Vera Loma, in which she outlined the factual and horrifying situation caused by the depots in her community, and a presentation for which she had a standing and well-deserved ovation. The main points were pollution, traffic congestions, road damage, and the adverse health effects for the children of Vera Loma, namely pulmonary deficiencies. Overwhelmingly, the consent of the citizens of Norco were against the depot, and the arguments reflected the concerns of the community. Horsetown, USA, a rural enclave amidst freeways and industry. The existing 346-bay facility of the ex-chicken farm is for sure a tempting target for a depot. But what will be the consequences for our town when 700 big rigs per day on a 24/7 basis roll in and out of Norco, jam the freeway ramps, idle and park wherever the drivers see fit during their waiting time? In order to await their turn, the drivers will not respect the residential streets. They will park and idle and wait wherever they see fit. And who will stop them? For this kind of business, our city just does not have the infrastructure. In my opinion, we are looking forward to an apocalyptic disaster for our relatively quiet community of rural character. Let us not be fooled by the big money landscaping around the project.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Number 33. Good evening. How are you?
Okay. My name is Wendy Hartley, and I oppose O'Leary's project. I believe the City Council should also oppose this project due to the proposal is out of compliance with the zoning specified within the Gateway Specific Plan. In the Gateway Specific Plan, Section 4.10.1.4, Industrial District, it references Appendix C, which specifies permitted and conditional permitted uses. The only permitted uses within the industrial district are listed under manufacturing and public uses. Look at the X's under industrial in Appendix C. The only match is warehouse distribution under the principal activity of manufacturing. O'Leary's principal use of the land in the industrial zone is for the movement of freight, which does not fit within the permitted uses of manufacturing or public uses. Also, Appendix C shows that The only permitted and conditional permitted uses for wholesaling is only permitted in commercial districts, not in the industrial. The Gateway specific plan, and particularly Appendix C, is very detailed and specific about the types of businesses and activities that can be allowed on the land. I know not all activities or uses can be identified, but as per the Gateway specific plan 4.0 development regulations and section 4.4 general provisions, section E, whenever a use has not specifically been listed as being a permitted use in a particular district use classification within the specific planned project area, it shall be the duty of the Planning Commission to determine if said use is consistent with the intent of the use district, and 2, the said use is compatible with other listed permitted uses. The Planning Commission denied this project. Just to add one more thing, the Norco A grant was in operation long before the Gateway specific plan, and I believe that it would be considered non-conforming to the Gateway specific plan, and so any comparison or argument to such should bear no weight. Please stand behind Norco's Gateway specific plan, the Planning Commission, and all the residents that stand here today or sit here today. Norco is not Corona, Ontario, Rialto, or Fontana. We are Norco, city living in a rural atmosphere. Thank you.
Number 34. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for having us here. I think you see that overwhelmingly the people of Norco do not want this project in. My wife and I have been here. My name is Gary Cervantes, my wife Francie. We've been married for 35 years. The last 14, we have been so fortunate to live in this beautiful city. We love it here. We used to come to the horse shows. My wife would always mention, boy, it'd sure be nice to move to Norco. That's all she would say. And so when my kids graduated from high school, we moved here. We love it here. We own our home here. We plan to stay here the rest of our lives. When we hear what these gentlemen come here propose, it is not good for Norco. The young lady before me said it perfectly. We are not Upland or Rialto. We are not the city of Ontario, and we're certainly not Fontana. We are Norco. We are so unique in this great United States. You can look far and wide, and you will not find one city that has all of the attributes that Norco has. And yet we're still close to Los Angeles. I do my business all over Southern California. I find it so much of a privilege to come to this great city. I'm not going to give you facts and figures about air quality because we all know that hundreds of trucks going through your diesel daily are not going to benefit us at all. Our children need to breathe this air. They need to run. They need to laugh. And this kind of air is not going to be good for them. My wife said before I came up, she said, what would Toby Gerhardt, what would he have done if he had to breathe this soot every single day? Would he have been the great athlete he has? I wonder that. I really wonder that. Today could be the greatest day for Norco, or it could be the worst. This is all in your hands, and I pray that you vote against this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 35.
Yeah, my name is Keith Kempster, and I'm a commercial truck driver. Anybody that says that 3-minute idle thing is going to work is crazy. When it's 110 degrees outside, I'm idling my truck. I'm not going to sit out there and cook in a truck for an hour and a half waiting for them to unload me. I'm going to idle my truck. So is every other driver out there, and if they have a pony motor, it's still kicking out exhaust fumes. I mean, this is just ridiculous. We don't need it in this town. Anybody that, I mean, we've got plenty of empty space out along the 60. There's plenty of empty buildings out there. We're overbuilding commercial sites with no reason to build in this town. None. Been here 30 years. This is stupid. Thank you.
Thank you. 36. Hello, Pat.
I'm Pat, the citizen tonight. I want to reiterate what Wendy said and read to you again what vision, the 20-year vision that the planners had for Gateway specific, the industrial district. Light industrial research and development and ancillary facilities will be located in the area east and west of Mountain Avenue and north of First Street. Designation of this area to accommodate industrial land uses allows maximum utilization of land area inward towards the major traffic routes. Industrial uses allowed in this district will be light and clean, primarily high-tech industry that generates little noise or air pollution. No heavy manufacturing will be permitted. This project doesn't do that. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the vision of the Gateway specific plan. Also, what Wendy said about the permitted uses, it too says, it's listed under the title of manufacturing as the only area where warehouse and distribution is allowed. And this is not under the title of manufacturing. This is just warehouse distribution. So I don't believe it fits. I vote against this project, and I hope all of you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 37.
Glenn Hedges, speaking as a resident of Norco. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Councilman. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. This project is just too intense for this city, for this area. It's very clear in the Pacific Plan that this was never intended to be there. It is not an intended use. The developer would lead you to believe that it is an intended use. Just like the Bible, you can read anything into it you want. John, you're sitting there, you're a lawyer, you can read into anything you want. But it just doesn't fit. You can't get all of this into a 10-pound bag. I didn't want to say the other thing. Okay, the hours of operation right now are 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You're looking to run that into 24/7. 24/7. Those people over there are never going to have any peace, and that was never the intent of the Pacific Plan. I know you've all read it before you came here tonight, and you probably know it backwards and forwards. I know I do. And it does not say anything about a truck depot in there. The other thing is, all that money that they're talking about, all those fees, most of them go to the state of California, to the county of Riverside, and you get about 10, maybe 1/10 of those property taxes come to the city. You still got to build the streets over there, right, Bill? No matter what you do, you can't put it in the general fund, and it ain't going to stay here with us. Oh, here we are tonight, standing on the edge of the slippery slope, and we're all standing there with you, and we're all hoping that you will vote. And please, back us up. Turn this project down, but turn it down, reject it with prejudice. There is some hope here. We can get a good project out of this, but we need a project that is going to fit the Pacific Plan. 1992, the council approved the Pacific Plan. Stick to it, guys. We can get it. Just stick to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Logistics, sorry.
Okay.
Welcome.
I'm number 38. My name is Kathy Kay. I've been here for 41 years. My late father, Jack Scott, moved us all out here so we could live the horse dream. And little girl growing up, now I'm an old woman, and seen a lot of changes here. Of course, with the freeway and all that that brought, and we all, drug our toes through those 20th century issues. But this is going too far. We already deal with traffic getting off the off-ramps. Think about all the trailers pulling, trailers shouldn't be pulling trucks pulling trailers, and then behind that a diesel truck. It'd be impossible to get on and off throughout the whole day. I respect this council. I think you guys have spent time looking into it, and you have a passion for this town like everybody standing behind me. Some of you. And I just hope that you will say no to this project. That land needs to be developed. There's so many other things that could be done, and we need tax space. Our space here in Norco is limited regarding
bringing any income in. So one-time monies are good, but you know, if I only worked for a week out of the year, I'd be in trouble the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to take a momentary break, if you don't mind, Mr. Swindell. The attorney has something else to say.
I'll give the real popular speech. We're in the middle of a public hearing, so I'm asking the council members and the audience not to dialogue on this subject. So council needs a break, that's terrific, but please don't approach them and try and talk to them about this subject. They really need to be limited to hearing what's being presented in the public hearing.
So you'll be the first one when we come back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
How long is the recess?
We'll come back at 8:17.